Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Basic Banter for Witches.
Woo-hoo!
We are so fucking excited today, guys. You have no idea.
Yes.
We have two of the most amazing people in Saskatoon on our podcast that we've been dying to talk to for over a year now. They were literally one of the first people that were like, "We need you. We need
How
you.
do we get you on our podcast?
Can we please just be friends?"
Be friends?
Yeah.
My
So
daughter.
honored.
We'll be friends.
That's right. So it is the most amazing Maria and Tom from Nocturnus Art.
Woo-hoo! Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
We're so happy.
Have you guys ever done a podcast or anything like this before?
No.
No, this is my first time too. Yeah.
Yeah, brand new. We're new to the world of technology.
We love it.
So,
Honestly, it's like a shock to me because you guys are like,
You guys are so forward on everything.
you're so fucking amazing.
Yeah, like
thank
legit.
you.
But I think that's the thing is a lot of people I know about you.
Yeah.
And like know about your store. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just you guys are sort of one of those like infectious sort of people.
Yeah.
That like everybody kind of picks up that every time they go in and they're like, oh, they're amazing. I'm like,
Yeah, they're like, I'm obsessed with them. I'm just addicted. And I was like, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of become a little community hub for a lot of.
It's becoming a highlight. I mean, having a shop like this in Saskatoon, like I think what really stands it out too is our herbs and how we treat herbs, right? So yeah, it's a little bit different from what people are used to when they walk into a metaphysical shop.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I'd agree with that. I would say your shop is one of the first and only in its kind that I've ever been into.
Yes.
Mm.
It is so
Well, that's an
unique.
honor for us then.
It's
Yeah.
I always say like in like terms of like, you know, the different types of metaphysical shops in Saskatoon, there's almost like not tiers because it's not a tiers, but it's like the genre is different. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you want just stones, you go here. If you want like that herbalist experience, it's like that's you. That's
Mhm.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just
Like that's your market.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
obviously
you.
there's more to
Yeah.
you, but like your hands-on work is like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's like right before we
I
started
love
watching your video about the incense, and I was like, Jesus Christ, they're just amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun to do. And literally that's every weekend. So everyone's like, why are your hours so bad? And I'm like, it's once you tell them that you're closed 3 days to make all the product, then they understand because our hours aren't the greatest. But like it's because of all the harvesting and the hand making that we do that we are able to sustain that our schedule. So that's how it works.
That's the premise of the business. So for Tom, it's been like when it comes to witchcraft, what is your craft?
It is a craft.
You're a
at
witch.
its
What is
core.
your craft? And Thomas's craft is everything he does. And so since I've been on this team with you, it's just a joy to be able to just follow him around because everything he does is magic. I could follow him with the camera like all day. But for him, it's just this beautiful fluidity through your work. And the shop speaks for it. And you can tell ever since he was a kid, he's always been this person that's just been very earth-based, very grounded. So when he was little, everyone would hang out in his room, just being around Thomas, regardless of what was happening with you, how elevated or fragmented you were, he has this way of just bringing you back into the present moment. And I think that's your connection with, with plants and earth.
Brings me back. Yeah. But I struggle with presence too. I mean, who doesn't? It's easy to get distracted in our society and how we live nowadays. So yeah.
So where did it all where did it begin? Like where were you both in your lives that you're just like, you know what, this is what we want to do?
It's actually a funny story with us because being a brother-sister business and duo, like it actually happened at the same time for us. And Marie was living in Calgary at the time and I was in Saskatoon. Yeah. And we touched base and we were like, no way, you've been practicing too. Marie's like, yeah, that happened. But I'll let you describe your first encounter and maybe I'll go after you. So
getting into witchcraft, the business itself is different. Like
we want both.
Well, we were raised in a very Catholic household. And that was a difficult place to find ourselves into because I've been very indebted to just sexual exploration, being an artist, and being in a little bit more of a countercultured individual when Thomas coming out as gay. We kind of really developed our own family base together.
Black sheep of the Catholic
black sheep of the families, and so we both individually took our own trip into the metaphysical realm and then kind of joined forces with this venture.
Well, just like any community as well, but it's not just a community because it also brings you, if you're alone or you practice solitary, there's a sense of solace and peace in it. And I think for me, it was being so lonely as a kid because I was such a weirdo. And when I found out that I could hone a skill that was entirely independent of my research and my knowledge and my study, it became a passion, and I wanted to pursue it. I wanted to read books. I wanted to find elders in the community. I wanted to talk to people with knowledge that knew about all these traditions and special ways of life, to also bring that meaning into my life, but also keep it alive and give it direction, right? So, and then the business came, I think, because of that passion. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. It's like
Wow.
that's a big kind of theme for a lot of us this year, is turning that passion into a career. And like, you know, doing that. I love that transition seemed fairly seamless for you guys, having that kind of epiphany of sorts together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, well, the business started, Thomas started the business by himself independently. So he was working
5 years ago, 2018. It was in September.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this has always been Thomas's passion. This is Thomas, like he's been into herbs and he's self-taught his whole life. And he kind of he always wanted to do this, but it was never the right timing. And then he worked at Witches Brew with Bev. You were very close to Bev, who owned the Witches Brew.
Really Saskatoon, yes.
And that was kind of your thing into your kind of step into actually considering it as a business option.
And learning how it functions as a business, right? Because a lot of us, we're practitioners, but we're also, as a practitioner, you have a craft. And I find a lot of witches, they can take the business route and they know how, right? And you will make that passion somehow into a reality for yourself. And hopefully the dream or the goal is to sustain off of what you love to do, right? And I find lots of witches, they fall into that craft where they do have their craft and they hone it, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm where I am now, and I get to do this for a living, right? And I'm happy that the community is willing to support and come to us to find things like herbs or stones or anything that can help them. You know what I mean? Also discover their craft. And
that was the big thing for you too, though, because a lot of metaphysical stores, they have a lot of stuff you can buy.
Trinkets, so to speak. Yeah.
But for you, it was a big thing. For us, even as the witches in this community, it was difficult to find the herbs I needed for my spells. And the actual things I need to do my craft. I need a legit supply store. None of this like, you know, ordering on Amazon, not knowing where it comes from.
I need to make a blend for this, you know what I mean? Like I have to have a spell pouch for this, and I need these herbs, right? And holding to traditions. Yeah, there's substitutes that we all talk about in the community, making substitutes on certain ingredients.
Yeah.
But there are some things, speaking of tradition, you have to go with the original item. Like, I mean, if your heart says one thing and you're like, okay, then make that alteration, change it, right? But for example, like dragon's blood, and you're banishing the spell calls for dragon's blood, you need the dragon's blood.
Yes.
You'll need that dragon's blood. Yeah. But,
Wow. Amazing.
Have you found, I mean, obviously you have like a little farm.
Like you have like a patch of land up north, don't you?
You've got multiple plots.
I got multiple
amazing
little gardens here in the city and outside the city. And I have friends who also allow me to garden on their space and learn from them and garden there too. So I'm really lucky in that sense as well. But a lot of the herbs, when you come in here, you'll see that quality is preserved in that state of driedness, right? Because in magic, it's funny, especially being a herbal, I would say I'm a herbal witch for sure. And very earth-based. So to me, I need fresh. The fresher something is, the more power and potency it has. It's the same way when we work with herbs for healing. Once they get old and dry, they become useless. And I don't want to say useless. I'll turn it into incense, or I'll turn it into an offering. I'll turn it into something else that gets used up. Yes, make a wreath. But at the same time, you need that potency to have, you need that herb to have its power. So it'll have that effect in your life, whether it be for healing or for a spell. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I would definitely consider you like a herb witch for sure.
Witch,
we had one episode on all different types of all of the witches or whatever, and like for sure for Maria, she's definitely, what are they? Was it called like a sex witch?
Yes.
I love it. I just like cackle.
I've never heard of that.
And I was like, oh, we know who that is. Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, it's
all in the most positive way, I promise.
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's nothing negative about sex at all.
No,
not at all.
There's a lot of education too. So I used to do sexual education.
I did, yeah. So for me, my foundation was sexual education, and all kinds of the kink community specifically. And then I went and took a master's. I have a master's in art. So for me, it's all about how do you take something and put it into the public eye, right? So this is what I'm trained in. And so Thomas started this up pre-COVID, and it was quiet, like a very small kind of corner shop, but he just wanted a place where he could just do what he loved to do. But the thing is what Thomas does is and it's amazing, and people need to know about it, and people, it's so healing, and it's this beautiful thing that we have access to in our community, and it only benefits however many people it reaches. And so we have this wonderful world of online. I say wonderful too, a fault, but I've really taken it upon myself, because when COVID hit, suddenly people were paused and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sitting with
Right.
the self. There's a lot of sitting with the self. When we sit with the self, there's a lot of thinking, and there's a lot of internal work. And so we don't really know. And a lot of people developed hysteria and fear, especially around big pharma companies, and kind of this return back to the land, return back to the natural, to the self. And also the discovery that we're not just these anatomic, like these beings, they're just pure physical, where there's a spiritual portion to us. We're emotional beings. We're yeah, there's so many aspects.
We have to face that. Yeah. A lot of people are placed literally in front of a mirror, and they're like, what does my life look like? Do I have to make changes and adjustments? Because I think during that 2.5 year shift, it's almost all of us were going through that. Yeah, especially in our first world communities, right? Like our living.
Exactly.
So everything kind of built up, and Thomas was like, he was overwhelmed, because being the sole owner and worker, you have to craft everything. So he's harvesting everything, drying everything, creating anything, doing the hydrosols, doing the blending, doing the extractions, doing all of the work. You need some time to do it. And he can't also make himself available for customer work. So that's where I kind of came on and started doing a lot of the social media stuff, trying to get access to people, putting it out there so people are aware that he exists and he's here. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I definitely say you do a good job, because the social media presence is getting like better and better every time I see your page. I'm like, damn, they really got it figured out.
It's like you guys, well, I mean,
I love like the unboxing of all your new material. I'm like, and what am I gonna buy? Yeah, right.
But like the thing is, like you always set the mood, and I know that like you don't even have to like set the mood for your videos and stuff, because that is the mood of the shop always. It's like, it's just like, like, you walk in and you're like, I am here, and it's fantastic.
I get excited whenever I open up your stories, and I was like, oh, there's 18 stories. I'm ready.
No, it's so good. Yeah, no, it's great. You got such a variety of stuff in your store. Now, in terms of like, I'm doing like a little mental like walkthrough of your store. I guess if a new customer was to come in today, like, and they asked for, what are your like not top sellers, but what are your top recommendations for someone? I know that kind of depends on the person and their needs, but like, do you find that do
people come in with a certain, I would say like a certain question for help often? Like, is there a popular question of like, I need help with love, I need help with wealth, I need help with say something not so great, like a curse or whatever? Is there a common thread that people come in with questions for?
Yeah. The interesting thing is it's not constant. So it goes for the collective. So it's really interesting working in a metaphysical business, because you see if one person's coming in for a psychic attack, there's a lot of people coming in for psychic attack. All of a sudden I'm selling a lot of black salt. So there's a general energy happening, and it's very coincides with just society in general. A lot of
you talked about that. It was like Reiki practitioners keep getting hit. All right.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but for us, as far as our top sellers go in the shop, incense hands down is probably the biggest one, just because it's all organic, and it's fantastic. Especially for someone like me who's asthmatic, it's really difficult to find incense that don't give me a headache. Especially if you have pets or kids or little familiars that have sensitive noses, birds, cats, dogs.
The beauty of the incense, though, is because a lot of people will burn for scent, and scent in magic, it still has its purpose, because even psychologically, it has that power over our minds. But the incense, when it's made with the herbs themselves have powers as well. So you're actually taking the ingredient and you're basically giving birth to it again in your space. So for prosperity, you're burning actual cinnamon, not cinnamon perfume, but that cinnamon is there for your spell or your meditation. And you can really feel it. That's why I like it so much.
And that's the good thing too about his work, is it's the conscientiousness that goes into it as well. So for example, the bath bottles, right? It's a bath ritual for yourself for the moon phase. Whatever phase of the moon you want to use it. But what Tom has done is he hasn't just created it, but he's put together the thought process. I'm talking about like the emotional and the mental weight of like, what is the thoughtfulness that goes into this cycle? What herbs are we using? And he's basically just putting it into a package for you to take, right? So, and you can really see that in the weight of it when you hold the product, because you see the intention, not just through like the detail and the softness of the making itself, but every single aspect, from like the gentle picking and the conscientious picking of the herbs, and what herbs to use at what time and what phase and what planets are we bringing in. Like it's a lot of energy.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot of magic.
My hands, like whenever I think of like getting like physical things of like the craft or arts or like doing something, my like palms already like they feel like and
yes,
like,
the visceral,
right? Like the amount of intention that I feel in your product is like I love it.
It's the same as like putting your feet into the earth, right? It's just that feeling of like, yes, this is what you know.
Yeah, you just shove your fingers into like the dirt that it's like everywhere. You just want to feel it in every crevice. Anyways, I totally like I'm like, oh my god, it's amazing. Anyways, sorry.
That's what we're going for.
That's what we go for. It is. And it what is it? We also want to encourage that for people too.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will come in, they'll look at the herbs and be like, what is all this? And it's almost, to me, I really want to really step in that moment, because the herbs, they begin in our lives in all different ways. Sometimes we're raised in families that are, you practice natural remedies at home. Some families don't at all. Some families like to cook and they use a lot of spices. And so naturally, we all have different ways on how we learn and pick up herbs and interact with them. But I find in the shop here, you start with what your comfort zone is. You get some of the things that you love, and then from there you really expand, trying out things that you've never heard of before, or things that are different. And that's what I like to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we get that a lot. People come in like, what is all this stuff?
Yeah,
and sometimes it's hard because it's a bit of an offense. Sometimes I'm like, it's just my life.
I'm sorry, not a big deal. A little rude.
Don't come into your house and say what.
But it's a hard question to answer too, because a lot of people, and that's since I've come in, I've really expanded the book section, because that's a big part for me. Going through academia and going through that route is kind of like, we do a lot of things and people just say, well, it's just how I feel. But why do you feel this way? And what are you trying to feel? What is it that you're actually feeling? So again, that bringing yourself into the body. And also when you come talking about ancestral roots, right, and different things like folklore, like my mom used to, oh, my grandma did that, but where does that come from? That's where your magic is, because that's where your blood, like that's all of your
tap into that. Is that what we usually tell people when they feel lost? Is tap into that. Like what did you do when you were little, or what did your grandparents show you or talk about? Or let's say you don't know any of your personal history, then what do you enjoy? What do you connect with in terms that's out there for mythology and folklore? So
find things that resonate for you.
Yeah, builds a foundation.
Yeah, it's such a hereditary thing, and it's like been like a skill, or not even a skill, but like a passion that's been asleep for a lot of people for a long time, because of past having the Catholic background as well. It's like the expression of things that don't fit the church's standard, and it's like hush hush. But the more that we even talk with our family about it, it's like, oh well, that makes sense, and that and this is all those dots start to connect, and it's like, well, just because they didn't say the term witch or whatever, it doesn't mean that that's what they were doing. So it's right, it's like it's like, no, that was a spell.
Very much, very much. We're just like, oh, I see what you did there.
It's questionable.
The spells, and that's speaking of spells too, that a lot of people get caught up in, am I doing this right? Is this the right way to do it? And it's the weird thing too, because if you bring it down into the simplest of forms, everything in your daily life, if you claim witch, everything is a spell. The way I steal my coffee is a spell. The way I make my coffee is a spell. Right, the way I get dressed in the morning, choose to present myself into the world, that is glamour magic. Like everything we do is magic based, if you choose to embody that and pull that in.
I love that term, glamour magic. Like I've never heard it before.
Glamour magic is my favorite kind of magic.
That's great. I should have known.
We just all went under your spell. I get it.
You have that effect on people. We totally mean that.
Literally, my cousin's obsessed with you.
She's like, oh, when we came in last year.
It
was last year before I left for Ireland.
Yeah.
And she's like, she came out and she's like, they're amazing.
She's like, okay, so I'm so hot.
I know. She's so like, wow. We're like, yeah. Like she's just like
we know. We get to see her whenever we want to.
Her, and it's just like, you're just amazing.
I love you. We're a different energy base too. It's really funny because Thomas and me always joke about it, right? Because Tommy's very much like, if we talk about, let's just take the Arthurian legend, right? Like Tommy's very much the Merlin type, right? He's like Magic is for everything. It's this beautiful, wonderful thing, right? And I'm big sister. So when I come in here, I met Thomas at a place where he was very depleted and tired.
Oh, fair.
So like when I first came in, it was kind of like setting up a lot of boundaries, and people don't like boundaries.
Yeah.
People don't like boundaries. And I'm very, I'm not going to say, I'm just firm, right? And so that can be a bit standoffish for some people sometimes.
Fair.
But we work as a really good team, because I'm more of the Morgan, where it's kind of like magic shouldn't just be accessible in the sense of like recklessly doing things either, because it's intention based, right? And so I try to really kind of make people think about why we're doing the things we're doing, right? And what's the intention of that, right?
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the repercussions when people ask for the heavy stuff. Yeah. What about this text or this person?
Being on social media, I see a lot of people sharing things like sigil making, and like, you know, like bringing in like different like dark goddesses and entities. Like, are we aware of, like, before we start bringing in energies, do we have psychic protection development yet? Do we have a strong foundation of how to like rid yourself of those blockages? Do you know how to like, yeah, and are you fully aware of the history of this individual and this entity you're bringing in, and what that's going to create for your life?
Yeah.
Not just yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah,
very
very important. Yeah. So there's a bit of a seriousness that comes with it, because this isn't just a pastime for me. This is who I am.
No,
Well, that's
exactly.
it. Well, just like you said, when someone's like, what is all of this stuff? You're like, this is my life. You're like, I know. But you literally could just like say, like, well, buckle up. We're about to change your life right now. Welcome. Come on.
To change your life. Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna ask.
I've got a million and one questions, I feel.
I was gonna ask. Nope. I lost it.
Okay. Well, she has lost it.
Well, she's lost it.
We've been bugging you guys now ever since we've discovered your store and have become obsessed with you. We've been bugging you guys for teaching, to be like, can you teach us something? It's like, we'll take it. Take our goddamn money. We just want to be learned. Like, we want to learn from you in any way.
Yeah.
So this is a hot topic for us, because we do get asked on a regular basis if we teach, and for me, my life's we do for free every day. People ask us a lot of questions at the shop, and I feel like we do spend a lot of time with customers and really providing maybe not the longest answer possible, but enough of an answer to give them either a little bit of direction or focus.
Amazing.
And a little bit of how we do things, so a little bit of our personal touch in that answer as well. But I know with the business personally, since I've opened up, it's a full-time business for me. So, and full-time moving beyond the scope of just regular work hours, because of the gardening, because of the crafting. I don't want to say that I'm not going to, but I really would like to plan for it in the future.
Yeah.
And I would really like to hopefully, I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a long time. Maybe it's just the platform I need to focus on, but I'm like a farmer. Yeah, I live my life like a farmer. So like basically in the wintertime, I'll do more like sculpting, craft. So I like it. Everyone's like, oh, well, the winter's so quiet, but and then I shift my living, I shift my craft to focus on the winter craft.
I feel like the responsibility is going to fall a lot on me on that one, to be honest with you, because Thomas is the main crafter of the shop, right? So if in the summertime in spring he's planting, right? And then he's harvesting in the summer, and then when he's not harvesting, he's creating and crafting. And then winter months, he does the bracelets, he does the oils, he does the infusions, he does the bath product. And so he's already at a place where his capacities, he's only one person, right? We don't have anyone else, it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we don't just order product in, like, because we're a retail business, but we don't order in product, we make all of our product.
Yeah.
So that's a huge kind of overhead. Plus, our place is so small and condensed. So to teach classes requires space, which we don't have, because literally, if you've been in the shop, it's floor to ceiling filled with stuff. So yeah, but and also too, there's a this is something that we've struggled with in the last little while, is when you expand yourself and you open yourself up as being this place for people to be in, you're doing a lot of guiding. And so at the end of the day, after like an 8-hour shift or a 7-hour shift, I literally, my voice is raw, because I'm doing so much talk. Because it's not just like you go into a jean shop, what do you need, boot cut, or like, you know, bell bottoms, what kind of things you want? It's kind of like people come and they go, I want to cleanse. I say, well, what are you cleansing? Well, I don't know. And so what's happening is you're talking a person through their personal life. And so there's a lot of like that you're taking in.
Yeah.
And so come the end of the week time, it becomes, I'm not just selling product and helping people through like very heavy spiritual stuff, breakups, deaths. Like there's a lot of energy there. And so the days that we have available, the time we have available spends in like kind of recuperating ourselves back into a state of, you know, that to be able to give off the ground that people find they can come into in this space, right? Without having ourselves spiral out.
Yes,
that's totally fair.
It's a very fine line to walk, because obviously you want to help everybody, but you can't dedicate like, you know, some people, I'm sure hours trying to navigate, you know, what you need to build to be successful for them. Like, oh my God, I'm exhausted.
You guys should take the next 5 years and just like write a couple books, you know?
I was thinking like we should do like we should do a I was thinking like a subscription program, because I know like, you know, putting out a blog post with so much things, it's like, yeah, that's, you know, fine and dandy, but I feel like people would like love to see you work and love to like Thomas, as you're doing something,
like literally your incense video. I was like, oh my God, that's how it works.
You could charge people to watch it. Do you know what I mean? Be like once a month, I put
like
out
a Patreon.
Yeah, I just thought about Patreon for videos. Yeah.
Patreon, man.
Free information, our highlights, because all of this stuff, whether it be our highlights or our stories or our Instagram, a lot of it, because even the posts I do, they're in education. So I'm teaching. If I'm doing a post on Ganesh, I'm teaching you about Ganesh. If I'm doing a post on Dill, I'm not just posting Dill, I'm telling you about the health benefits of Dill, but also the metaphysical and the folklore behind Dill. So there's we put a lot of energy into things that I think could be shifted elsewhere.
Yeah.
Subscriptions is a big one, especially for a lot of our people who are out of town and can't get into this video all the time.
Yeah.
Classes would be another great thing, because you have a community base where people can actually come, and if they want to hear us talk, to actually be able to be in a presence with a group, which also helps people to learn off of each other. So
imagine the community that
even community,
right? Because obviously, I mean, again, like coming back to like, you know, there's a broad spectrum of different types of stores in Saskatoon, but your community is different. Do you know what I mean? There are, you know, people who don't know about the others, or have only heard of you, or vice versa, right? Or haven't heard of you yet. And I think like having a Patreon and being like, for $5 a month, you can get like an exclusive lesson with Thomas, you know, or like in a bonus video from Maria. Oh, right? Like, I don't know.
I was thinking about that, especially for the herbs. A lot of herb preppers are really curious for Thomas. They want that information. But for him, because he's doing so much, I think he needs his reprieve is when he's in the forest and he has that quiet. And so to have to also take that piece for himself, and then to have to use that as another work experience to train and to guide.
Right.
He can't just be, and that's for him is your state of being. That would brings him back to himself.
You'd have to feel inspired.
It'd have to feel like exactly. No, it would have to feel like
you couldn't push it to happen.
Exactly. You'll know. Why are we telling you this? You'll know when you're supposed to voice it, when you're supposed to share it.
But it is important for us. I think it is. And because also with the herbs, I think I'm going to be a little honest here. The herbs don't sell that great here. And it's because a lot of people are, they're interested, but they don't have that knowledge. So if we could fill that gap to really make the herbs in here move, and also get people to learn in that way of crafting and living, it would be a huge difference for everybody. Like,
we were talking about expanding the business recently, and I was like, I want to get a bigger space. I can bring in like real live plants. I'm like, Tommy, we don't even sell our dry plants as it is. Right? And so that's a difficult thing, because unfortunately what we really value is the materials themselves, but they sell the least for us. The biggest stuff that sells is the crystals and the jewelry.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Which I'm surprised, like the books and the card decks don't sell as fast as everything else, because those
they're Oracle.
I was gonna say, like, again, another idea. That's what Brittany and I do. We basically just brainstorm.
This is the bantering.
This is the bantering. So what you could do, not what you should do, but what you could do is like put together like a package of herbs. So like you've got like, you know, a variety of herbs, and be like, this is what you will need for this. Do you know what I mean? And it's like sprinkle some at your doorstep, or like
your how-to kit.
Exactly. It's like a gift for teachers, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like
or your New Year blends.
You know, I mean, like, this is what you can drink, and this is, you know, I don't know, this is what you can sprinkle in your garden when you're done your harvesting, is like a thank you. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe we'll just come in and we'll be like, okay, give us 6 different blends, we will promote it for you.
I love that.
It's weird too, because it's counter. It's great advice, but it's counterintuitive to what we believe in. I think at a fundamental level. So for us, a lot of it is we live in a society where everything is kind of like filtered into like this digestible format for us that's easy.
Oh yeah, fair.
And that's the difficulty, I think, for us, is because sometimes to sell things as this kind of ready package. It's the removal of yourself in the magic itself too.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Okay, I have an amendment to that then.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so this is our spell. We need an element or like a herb that's connected with Saturn, or one that's connected with Mars and Mercury. And like, so this is what it calls for.
Yeah.
These are the plants. Pick them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, which is why
We're on this.
our cones are the planetary cones, right? So they have the herbs that are associated with each planetary alignment. So it's all available to you. You just have to step into it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a big one for us, because that's where the magic comes in.
But when people are designing their own spells, that is where the magic comes in. And I find, regardless of whether that's also where the learning comes in, the information. Because if you are doing that spell, and certainly people, they remember more from experiencing it themselves. Themselves, rather than learning it from. We will tell people things, and they'll come back and ask the same question. Yeah. So it's like, yep, all the time. So it's like,
where were you? What happened last time?
So, but that's how I was too when I was younger. Like, I think I went through a lot of moments where until you really trip over yourself good,
fair.
you'll really learn your lesson. So I like that and I'll retain so much knowledge and mythologies about herbs and plants. And you'll like even things like their folk names, they'll describe what the plant does as well, which is super funny. So a lot of witches, you'll hear about like tongue of dog and wool of bat and all these other things, but like all these fun names, not only do they sound super witchy, and you can still use them and call them that if you wish, but they describe the effects of that plant. So like, for example, I love the name for comfrey. Its nickname is knit bone. So right, knit, mending, that healing magic. Oh yes, knit bones. It'll tie my bones back together. So, and herbalists will use it for mending severe tears and ligaments and muscles, and for your bone structure. So like names like that, if you get really in depth and passionate about, especially herbs, they'll lead you down all these little notions of their mythology, their magical properties, their medicinal properties, and you'll learn so much by just slowly piecing things together.
It's the relational development. It's the intimacy that you're gaining with that, and the intimacy that what it does, it builds this is what a lot of people oftentimes lack, is the assurance and the confidence that what I'm doing is right. Is this right? Is this right? You need to trust your intuition. Your only intuition can follow through if you embed yourself in something, right?
I love that.
A lot of people always ask, like, Tom, like, how do you know all this? Have you seen the books this boy has? So he's tried all of these things, and once he's tried it, did this work for me? Didn't it work for me? How did it work for me? How did it affect me? And so through that learned experience, it's not just something that you goes out like when you read a book, but you're disassociated, and you're like, what did I just read for the last 10 minutes?
Yeah.
The lived experience.
Yeah. But all of a sudden it's like, how did I get here? Like, is everybody okay?
Do I go through every light? Oh gosh. Yeah.
Really, it's like, oh.
But it's the conscientiousness of like, being present in the moment and present with what we're doing. And that's also part of it. Because like you could have the best crystal in the world. You could have the prettiest candle with the most gorgeous of ingredients. But if you're not in that place, if you're not following with not just what you did with the spell, but through your thought, action, and movement forward to follow through with those intentions set, it's dust in the wind.
Dust in the wind.
What it is.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Honestly, how can I get you guys to teach?
Yeah, well, literally all I have in my head is like private shopping party, private 3 hours. Pay them $200. Teach me your ways.
Exactly.
We'll be in the shop. The other ones can be working. No one's losing out on anything. Extra money in their hands. Extra knowledge for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you were put us on the spot about that though, with like the classes, because that is a big topic for us, and like
Constant.
It's something that we know that we have to do. And we're going to really try, as the time continues here, we really need to try to make something work, because you're right. And we always have been not we're not driven by the materialistic aspect of this business.
No.
We are driven by the education aspect of this business, because what we do here on a daily basis is solely that. Like it's a lot of that, our energy gets put into education, and for a community to develop, it'll be a very different community than what I think the city has seen in a long time. So yeah, it'd be really magical if people were to they have interest. So if we were able to provide that and build a community and for other people to teach as well.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think I'm the only person in Saskatoon that knows this much about herbs. I know a lot of people around me that I've heard from that have lived here or live outside the city, and they're very willing to teach as well. So yeah.
Amazing. So maybe it is the collective's already started.
Yeah.
It started and it's
Just
there.
tapping in and
Someone just needs
sharing,
to guide
right?
it. And those
I
two
know a
people
really
are
cool for
super-
anyone listening right now to this, Saskatchewan Wildcrafters on Facebook, there's a page. So for anybody that's wanting information just on wildcrafting, also doing it respectfully, doing it with you know, the best ethics and intentions, go onto that page. It's a really good educational founded Facebook page. And it's got a good community. Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll add that to the show notes.
Yeah, I just made a note of it. We'll add it to our show notes.
And that way
that are
everyone
available.
can check that out too for a note
Yeah.
if they forget at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's so handy.
Unreal.
That's great.
Sweet. Okay, so my next question, or did you think of your question that was gone?
It was teaching.
It's still gone. Oh, nice. Same brain. Cool. So what would be the most outrageous question you guys have been asked from someone who's come into your store? Outrageous as in good, outrageous as in bad.
Oh, Marie's turn.
Don't
You see
do
her body? No.
Like,
Dude,
Good.
outrageous.
Like a what the fuck just happened type of moment.
I'm sure it happens to me often, but it doesn't ever faze me. So often Marie will hear something in the background and then the customer will leave and Marie will turn to me and be like, what just happened? I'll be like, what? And she'll be like, what just happened? I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And because here it is right now. Because like I don't know what it is. I think when it comes to doing what we do, I'm prepared every day when I come into work. I'm prepared for anything to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of wild things that come up, and I honestly couldn't give you one. It would be.
Let's start somewhere. I think we should tell a story. Yeah.
Can you think of anything on the spot?
Oh,
Wildest thing that's come up, good or bad?
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's an accumulation of so many moments. It's so hard to pinpoint.
Yeah.
But you don't have to pinpoint. Just throw like something like this.
There's beautiful things. Like I've given women spells for fertility, for example, you know, and they come back and be like, I'm pregnant, and I've been doing this my whole life and it's never happened. And since I've talked to you, like, thank you so much.
Wow.
And then there's other things where people come in with just so much, and it's a little bit, it makes me nervous. Like I said, when people come in and their life is literally crumbling around them, and it's kind of like we take a step back and like, where did this come from? What is it that we're doing? We have to be careful.
We do have to be careful because when people come in, there's a lot of ethics involved in certain situations, and we can't. I always tell Marie this, we talk about this a lot, but like, you almost want to come from a place where we're here at the shop, we want to provide, but how much of your personal beliefs do you want to get entangled into somebody else's life, right? So when someone, you know, they're wanting someone to love them and they're not showing them any affection and they want to cast a love spell, do I really want to tell them the repercussions of that love spell, right?
We're also doing the help with a love spell.
Yes, because does that spell, will it have any form of buildup or effect or echo on my life, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's bizarre, but we often get asked questions. I mean, the usual, like any metaphysical business. You know, I want to curse somebody, or someone's cursing me. How do I stop them? A lot of justice magic when people are wronged and they can't find a resolution to what's happened. They often seek magic, and often with the really intense spell requests or the really intense questions will come from people that are the dabblers, the people that are stepping this for the first time because they're desperate for a result, and
the desperation.
It's the the spell will come from a place of desperation and extreme need, and also this place of despair. No one else is helping me. I can't find anyone to help me or guide me, and it's scary because we can't put ourselves 100% into helping them, and nor would I want to in certain circumstances. But at the same time, we also have that responsibility of that education and showing them, you know, you could use this and this, or look into this story or this deity, or look into I don't know, this way of spell crafting, see if it resonates and try it out. But still showing somebody, you're right. I'm worried about sometimes entangling myself in that.
Yeah, it's almost like here you go, but I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Just gonna put this on the counter and weigh outcome for you, but I did not do anything.
Definitely.
No, I can imagine it's like obviously conflicting. Again, with that the ethics of that is because when we're dealing with one person's life, let alone those who they touch as well. It's like okay, like and magic is powerful and does come with warnings, which I feel like people don't think about. It's like if there's anything that you've heard in like folk stories and that, it's like that's it. If you're gonna use magic, well, be prepared.
And if you don't, it's coming back to you threefold, isn't it?
That's the threefold law.
Yeah.
We talk about that often too, especially when people ask for things like hexes and curses. I can't give that out. Or thinking of the other people involved, right? Like Thompson Desperation, the love spell, right?
Yeah.
I've had people be like, and what they do is they Google, like, get a Pinterest spell.
It's always a Pinterest spell.
Or a TikTok
spell.
TikTok, I swear to God.
And some of these spells,
we brought that to you once.
the origins are off too, right? Because like it'll be like a love spell, but it'll be using like the urban freezer like binding spell. And I'm like, what is like who did this?
So you have to take a step back and tell a person, so like you're telling me you love this person, but they're leaving you. But you want to keep them. You want to bring them back to you. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a form of sympathetic magic, write their name down, and put them in the freezer and freeze them still. If we love a person, we want to freeze them. We want to hold them. Is that real? Is that? And then we're trying to question like, what is love? What does love mean? Right? These are what happens. They came in for a spell, but I'm having to give them a lesson on what love is.
Right. Almost like a therapy session of like, let's
exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. No, and that's so hard because where's that boundary come in, right? Because people don't like boundaries and they're not gonna I think
they must hate that question. And why do you want to do that?
Yes.
Exactly.
People don't like when I turn the questions back on them because then they have to sit with themselves.
And Marie does that. I'm very impressed with how present Marie is in situations with customers, and the customers that are receptive and open, they'll respond really well with Marie's assistance because Marie is 100% there for you. If you're a customer and you're coming in here, if Marie's listening to you and going to be helping you, Marie is 100% in it. But some people, when they get faced with their question and they get with themselves and just like a reading, they don't hear something they want to hear, all of a sudden you're the bad guy and Marie's the bad. Marie often feels like
I get this in tarot all the time. You have the cards there in front of you. I can tell the lessons I'm seeing on your face. You're not
literally sometimes it's being the devil's advocate sometimes
like that.
I know when I do readings as well, and like so when I'm doing those readings, like so I don't see like anything about my health here. I'm like, well, it's because you're not like there's so many other things that need to be focused.
You can't focus on that.
Like your people, your team says this is more important. Let's work on this first.
But really though too, don't ask questions you're not ready to hear the answer for.
Exactly.
That's true too. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. God, I could literally talk to you guys forever and ask you a million questions. Can we just like be best friends?
Exactly.
Well, you're more than welcome because one of you's going moving
away tomorrow. Literally, I leave tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That's right.
Just hours.
So we wanted to try to get as many guests as we tried to plan this so that way we didn't have to try to do this around her
time zone
change.
Children and like, oh my God.
So we're just like, we need to make it happen. But we would still love to have you guys on in the future to talk about anything and everything.
Literally, you just tell us what you want to talk about and we'll just roll out the red carpet and be like, absolutely.
Yep.
We'd love it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys want to plug or like for up and coming, anything to do with your shop? Any new products that you guys are creating or bringing in that you're excited for that you really want to tell people about?
I think I'm very in tune with this answer.
Yeah.
So in terms of in herbs, there'll always be something new and exciting going on in the shop. So like for every year, I'll try experimenting with a new plant to see if I can get mass quantities grown or even like subtle quantities grown. So that's why we have like bulk and then we have packaged herbs, because anything I wasn't able to successfully grow or collect in mass quantities, it'll get packaged up in smaller amounts for people to enjoy. And then if I had a bountiful crop, bless the gods, I will not package it, it'll become bulk. So there's for example this year, last year we had bee balm that was released in bulk, and I got a really good crop of Monarda species, and It's beautiful. And this year they're doing well again too with all the summer heat. So I'm hoping that we can keep our bee balm in bulk.
Wicked.
And there's certain situations like that. There's also, in terms of product, I always try to put out a few new things every year. So I think it was just recently the Loki oil blend that we were working on. And it's an oak moss oil, but I use well, Douglas fir. So I do have an alembic at home and I make essential oils and hydrosols. That's right. So if I get enough essential oils, I'll use the essential oils in my really bountiful harvests to create into more products. So the Douglas fir oil that I'll get from usually that collection will now be being put into the Loki roller. So that will be new. Salves are always new, or ointments.
Yeah, that's new.
But yeah, our moon baths are something that change on a moon cycle basis.
Comment for the bath bombs every month because they're amazing. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I love them. I've tried a couple of them, and I'm just obsessed with every single one.
Thank you.
Pretty much the moment I was after I had my baby, and I had to wait like the 6 weeks for a bath or the bullshit. I was like, oh, I want to get one of these so I can like celebrate having a fucking bath.
I couldn't live without a bathtub. That would be impossible for me. It'd be really hard.
Marie's clockwood. Big,
I'm a bath every day.
Cool bathtub. Let's fill it up. That's right. Messy too. We always have this debate, Marie and I. It's like, how messy do we want to make bath bombs? Do we want to make
bog water? It's like if I can see through it, it's not. No, it needs more in it. So
yeah, love it. Do you get to test them all out, Marie, before they go on for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like sensitive skin types, our ancestry was from the Scottish Highlands, so we're very very sensitive to weird.
Yeah.
Some night, not fun. But like our bath products, often we will test them thoroughly. Same with the rollers, the oils. But I mean, there are those odd times that somebody, what's the word? We have samples of everything in the shop just in case, you know what I mean? Try it out and see what happens. And then if you like it, take it home.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful.
Well, they're located in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. They do have Instagram. You're on Facebook as well, right?
On Facebook as well, yeah. Nocturnus Art Metaphysical.
Yeah,
so that's, I guess, that'll be the base plug is because people still come and be like, how long have you been here for?
Oh,
and I'm like, what? It's been like, I feel like 5,000 years. So the best thing you can do is just tell your friends and family and bring them in, you know,
absolutely.
Or share our content on Facebook so it gets more access to like bringing people into our community. Because the more people that come into our community, it will allow us to hopefully hire other people so we can have, you know, like some extra funds to hire someone else so that we don't have to be so present in this space all the time, and then we have the time to be able to provide
classes,
other things rather than
you're right.
The shop itself, right?
No, totally. Exactly. It's
So and do you guys have a website as well that people can find you, or is it more so?
Gosh, the website is my responsibility because Marie's always so busy on the phone. Yeah, she's like, so the one thing I always try, I'm very old school, but our herb lists are always up to date on our website. So it might not be the prettiest in terms of what other people are producing. I swear we have a lot of product in here. Our website makes it look like we have nothing, but that's because we're so busy making the product. That's why there's nothing on the website. Yeah, so there's, if you need an ingredients list for the herbs that we stock, yes, please check out the website in that instance. It'll be super helpful. And we also do phone orders and pickup orders. So if you're getting a lot of herbs, you're stocking up on your witch's apothecary. We highly recommend for people that are like, I need 20 herbs, call us, let us know cup size, half a cup, quarter cup, how much you need. We'll have everything ready for you to pick up. That way you can just come here. It's super easy. We also offer refills because we do bulk. So on anything bulk or raw essential oils as well, bring back your first bottle. We'll refill it for you. So
we don't charge taxes on our herbs because it is all bulk.
Raw
and we ship anywhere in the world as well. So if you're moving or you're somewhere else or you have friends somewhere else, we will ship our product anywhere.
Yeah, it's not website's not the correct.
The website's like, I'm sorry.
Is literally your list of what we have in herbs. That's it. That's what the website is.
That's okay.
Access to us, Instagram, Facebook. That's where you get to me, and I will bring it to him because he's off places. So.
That's fine. Got so much going on.
But this is good because Jessica's just like, holy shit, I'm going to get some shipped to Ireland. So this worked out well.
There's nothing.
Yes.
I would love to ship packages to Ireland.
I will definitely. I'm not kidding.
Because there's nothing like that.
There's nothing. And that's crazy to me. And like, I mean, we're down in the Southwest, so it's very Catholic culture. But like, again, awakening's happening there too. Do you know what I mean? Like, so this is, the world is changing. There's little pop-ups of, you know, basically people are starting with crystals and it's kind of slowly advancing.
That's what happens.
I've never found anything there like your shop at all. So we were like, oh, I should open something. And I was like, I don't know. It doesn't really suit me yet, but like, we need to bring it there. So yes.
Yeah. You'll find your community in time too. It's really, really funny. A lot of people, once you step into the metaphysical realm in general, you just need to step into it.
Yeah.
And literally, it will, like, once you take that first step, it will start to direct you. So once you put your feet on that earth, I promise you, it'll lead you somewhere that is intended for you.
Yeah.
And you'll find
that's what I'm hoping. I'm really excited. It's scary, but you know, life is what happens when you're
all good things are scary at first, usually. So
exactly. It's
and
uncomfortable.
what I would really like
Sorry?
to start too is, well, if when you're there, we can do herbal swaps. So if you have access to fresh ingredients in Ireland that I don't have access to here, I will ship you handcrafted gathered herbs.
Like pods from back in the day.
I love it. We could be pen pals, but with like herbs.
Herb pals.
I have a friend in New Zealand I do that with, and that way I have access to some really cool herbs, right? So like,
yeah. You tell me what you want, I got you. We'll definitely set up.
I love this. I want to build up a whole like network here of herbal traders. This is gonna be great.
Oh my god, that
I've got people in like all over, so you just let me know. That'd be great.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow. So start something new, guys. Frick yeah.
We're gonna head off, or I guess get started on our readings.
So like we said, if you guys would like, if you have your own decks that you'd like to read a message for the week, or if you feel that there's a message coming through for the collective for the week that this is put out, you are more than welcome to share, and if not, that's okay too.
Yeah, there's no pressure. If it feels right, it was meant to be. Yeah.
We're sitting at your table, so
yeah, you
pull the card right here.
Like,
you got it.
I know herbs, but I'm like,
this is your house.
Oh, that is okay. Okay, so I am pulling from my favorite deck, the Archangel Power Tarot deck. It's one of my absolute favorites. I say this in almost every single, because I use it probably in 80% of our episodes. But this is the one deck that was gifted to me, and I've only been gifted technically 2 decks now, but one deck. This is my first deck that was ever gifted to me, and it's been like on the money every single time I've needed it. So the card that I was able to pull for today was the 8 of Ariel. So this one's taking pride in your excellent work. Practice makes perfect. Consider getting more education or training. How fitting for our episode as we're grilling you guys about classes. But it's just the way that I'm seeing it right now, it's saying, be present with what you're doing currently. You can obviously you got to keep going to make it perfect. You can't just settle for where you're at. You're going to get better at it, but you have to get more training, more education, but you have to start being more present in your current work to get there. That's what I'm getting from that.
Be there, guys.
Yeah. Be present, work harder.
Okay. So I usually have my animal spirit deck,
yes,
which is already packed away. Basically, I packed it. I was like, I don't need these because we're not. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't have anything to pull from. So Brittany, I keep some of my like. I have so many decks.
I would say your tier B.
My
decks.
the
decks you don't use regularly.
Over the next time, you know what I mean? Like literally, I traveled over with like 6 initially, and I'm taking. I think.
You bought more this time.
I bought more. It's just insane. So I'm reading the African Goddess Rising Oracle.
Oh, good deck.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Beautiful. So, Sachti, which is a grounding card. So I am firmly planted and deeply rooted is like the general, reading of the card. But what I feel from this card, it's literally, she's like so connected and one with the earth that she's like, she is the earth and the earth is her. And that's where, like, I don't know if you can kind of see where her hand is, but it's like, she's deeply rooted. Like where she has planted herself and firmed in her ground and in her teachings, she is evolving and becoming, that much more magical because of that. So I don't know. It's a confidence thing as well. I think we talked a lot about confidence and
grounding.
Exactly. And grounding. So yeah. So,
with the earth and the nature.
With earth and nature. Very fitting. Very fitting.
It is very fitting. Earth and nature, it's our homeland, right? Earth is we are flesh and blood.
Yeah.
So our bodies are earth. Earth is what we come back to. Earth is where we kind of ground ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that card in that deck specifically for that deity, because that's, and I've been talking about this a lot in my personal page and stuff, but finding yourself back through your tradition and your roots and what brings you back to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Love that.
it is a journey for a lot of people that they haven't taken yet or are afraid to take. And I feel like with grounding like that comes confidence and the assurance to do it, and feeling the nudge that that's what we're supposed to be doing, and leaning into the intuition in that sense. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Wonderful.
Okay, so before we go, you guys can find us on
TikTok.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have only done this a million times.
So,
TikTok, Instagram,
YouTube.
yes, and YouTube. Basic Banter for Witches.
And
If you have any questions, concerns, comments, or just want to send love, you can email us at basicbanterforwitches@gmail.com.
yeah.
Again, you can find our wonderful guests in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, or online on their website, but don't contact them there, Instagram or Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook is the way to contact us for sure. Or you can give us a call on the business line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all of which will be on our notes there.
Yes.
But honestly, you guys are so wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to
This was well worth the wait.
This is great. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You just
I'm
filled
so
our
full.
whole, all of
it.
our cups are just like
Exactly.
overflowing.
Yeah.
Right
Sweet. Thank you so much for having us. And
You're-
thinking of us.
yes, thank
And staying
you.
consistently bugging us, because that we all need those little nudges sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of grounding and getting back to
and work too. Work when it's needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do
Absolutely.
mean it. When you need herbs from there, you let me know. And if they're not in
Yes.
Ireland, if they're in Scotland or if they're in England, like
She'll go there.
Hey,
we'll go.
there's
I
a
mean,
lot
like,
of
It's like what, $30 for her to get there? She'll get there for you.
the flights are so cheap. I can do a day trip. Literally. We've
I'll
got
give
family
you a
in
little-
England, Wales. We can go wherever you need.
I'll write a fancy letter that describes the list of all the herbs you might even be able just to find in like a ditch there, right?
Yeah.
Like then I'll maybe put like little pictures of them down. So it'll be like almost like a treasure hunt. You want me
I
to
love
design
it.
like a treasure
Oh
hunt?
my
but
God, that would be
actually,
so amazing.
where I'm living, I live on like 2 acres.
2
Oh, wow.
acres.
Yes.
That's
And so
insane.
like the back part has been cleared because we weren't really sure what we're doing with it. But I wanted to,
Yeah.
long story short, I've been here a lot longer than I anticipated. So I had like my seed starters are like probably long gone. Nobody else is gonna do it there. But my intention was to like have a little herbal garden or like a greenhouse or something there.
You will. Yeah, that's a lot of beautiful land that you'll really enjoy. And speaking of roots, you'll definitely
Excited. Well,
That's
like I said,
beautiful.
if you've got any recommendations that you want me to like grow there,
yes.
send
I'll-
you
I'll let
Send
you
her
know.
the letter.
Okay.
Wait, okay, so we are gonna go offline here. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep you on for just a hot
Yeah.
second. We're gonna say goodbye to everybody else though.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks again,
Thanks,
guys. And we will
guys.
see you next
Thanks for having
week.
us.
Later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.